Hello, everyone, and welcome to another English with Joseph. Well, I thought I would take this opportunity to make a little video clip so that you can see the snow outside my window. It's like a perfect photograph. The flowers on one side and the snow on the other. For those of you who are doing the Ielts exam, one of the most common things that they often use is to describe your favorite photo, or your favorite piece of art, or even to describe bad weather, or the worst storm that you've ever been in, or the hottest day, or the best holiday. At that time, you're usually given 2 minutes to discuss, to give your ideas, what you think. It's not really a discussion exactly, because the examiner doesn't get involved until the part 3 of the exam. So he simply hands you a card, part 2 of the exam, which will say something like, describe your favorite photo. Remember to say who you are with, why it's your favorite photo, and the actual description itself. After a moment of preparing, you can then, of course, begin. So let's see how we would describe this picture. Okay, so imagine this is a picture, all right? I could say something like, well, my favorite picture is one which I saw in a museum just last week. My parents were here on holiday and I took them to a photography exhibition which was taking place in my town. I saw a beautiful picture which was almost a contrast between black and white and colour. You know, in the foreground of the picture there were colour plants, or you could say a splash of colour. And in the background of the picture, it appeared to be black and white because there was snow on the ground covering very beautiful trees. The traffic that passed was mostly covered in snow also. So the photo had a kind of Christmas feeling. But the mixture of colour in the foreground and black and white in the background made it seem rather unique. Of course, the background wasn't completely black and white. There were little bits of brown in there. But for the most part, it looked black and white with colour. I think the reason why I liked it so much is because it looked quite iconic. It caught something of both genres because of the mixture of colour and black and white. It almost looked gothic. It looked like I was looking at a very old portrait which had some colour added. Almost like two different times if we compare, for example, Victorian time to modern time. Now, of course, I'm just using this as an example of an IELTS question. This would actually be an incredibly difficult IELTS question, I think, if they asked you this and you tried to describe this particular scene, okay? But my point is, in the IELTS exam, they do actually try to get you to describe pictures, all right? So let's try this one without the flowers. That might make it a bit easier. Now, you know, in the IELTS exam, it's always a question they ask. They're not going to give you a picture, all right? But let me just try to describe this one for you, because if you're doing the FCE exam or the CAE exam, as you know, you are given pictures to describe, but not in the IELTS. IELTS will ask you to think from your mind about the picture. So, let's talk about this one, all right? So, I remember one of the most beautiful pictures I'd ever seen was of a snow landscape in Scotland. Against the beautiful snow in the background, there seemed to be some electricity lines and pylons giving it a modern yet old feel. Now, the reason why when we talk about pictures in the Ielts exam especially, we have to talk from experience is because if we just simply describe the pictures, then the exam is going to be a little bit dull. Let me explain. In an IELTS exam, if they say describe a beautiful picture, if you say, okay, yep, there's one I know which is white and has trees, you're not going to get very far with your English there because you can only speak in the present tense. So it's much better to speak from an experience in the past. For example, I remember once I saw a beautiful picture when I was out walking with my parents. I found an old photo album on the ground, and in it there was this lovely picture. I really wanted to know who this picture belonged to so I could return it. So you can see there, I can bring in all different aspects of the picture, such as where I found it. And I'm talking from memory, so I can use the past tense, I can use phrasal verbs, I could even use a conditional. I thought that if I could find the person that the picture belonged to, I would return it. Alright, so you can make it into a kind of story. But if you're asked to describe a picture, just simply to say, yep, I know a picture I like, it's white with trees and cars and it's big or small and everything, you're really not going to get very far because you run out of vocabulary within a few minutes. So it's always better to start with, well, I remember once I saw a beautiful picture. Okay, that's the best way to do it. So anyway, just to recap then, what I'm saying here is that in an IELTS exam, specifically IELTS, they give you a piece of paper and on there's a question. Okay, so that might be describe a beautiful picture. It could be describe your favorite bird. It might not even be a description. It could be to ask for your view or something. But if it is about a picture, then it's better to talk from experience, not just to take a picture to describe it, because it's very restrictive to do that. It means you can only use the present tense. Okay, so my point is, if this was a picture rather than a video clip, you would say something like, well, I remember once I was at a photography exhibition with my mother and I saw a lovely picture of a snow scene in the UK. It actually looked like one of those snow globes. You know the snow globes, those little crystal balls, and you shake them and the snow goes around. It looked like one of those because it was very picturesque. Both my mother and I stood and stared at it for a long time because it seemed to capture the essence of winter and seasons and everything that goes with that. Now that's a very different thing, ladies and gentlemen, from saying, yep, I know a picture, it's snow and Scotland and grey. So these are the best ways to describe pictures, by using examples. Well, anyway, this is my snow outside my window today, with the flowers there as well, as you can see. So I trust all of you are well and enjoy the video, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.